Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. We have, I know it looks like four new decks for you today, including a deck that hit number one. One of our boys finally hit number one after trying forever. So we're going to feature that deck because it's so cool that hit number one. We've also got top players' thoughts on both new cards and so much more. As we always do, let's get started with telling you about the Stream Team. Y'all, Jalen Brunson's all that matters on the stream team right now. But hey, it's fine. The stream team is a bunch of our friends are featuring on their Twitch channels at night and then on their YouTube channels the next day decks from these videos. So tonight, as of recording, this morning, as of you watching this, Game with Flash X on his YouTube will have games from yesterday's video. Prashant and Gregor already have their videos up. Make sure you check them out on YouTube. They'll be on Twitch next Monday and Tuesday. Tonight, on Thursday night, it's Zal Snap. You can check out Zal Snap on Twitch. And again, tomorrow morning, Zal will have a video with his gameplay about the decks from this video. Then Friday, we have the Pirate King Tucker. We're also, and I'm going to tell you about this tomorrow, going to have an extra special. We're doing something on Saturday morning too. So we're going to have an extra Twitch stream on Saturday morning. So it's going to go to 6 days a week. Our videos are 7 days a week. We'll have someone playing these decks 6 days a week. Let's go. All right, our first deck is nothing new. This is our Nocturne deck, but this deck is soaring through the roof in terms of win rate. What I want to establish with Nocturne right the frick away is Nocturne's had 3 real homes so far. It's been Silky Smooth decks, it's been Cerebro decks, Cerebro 5 in particular, and it's been Surfer decks. Those have been the 3 homes for Nocturne. We're going to look at a Surfer one probably tomorrow. It's a really cool card, I think. I like it. I've actually played it more than I thought I would because I've been playing this exact deck. But, caveat, huge caveat, it is a ridiculously replaceable card. Cool. For example, Nocturne could just be Spider-Man here. You lose like next to nothing by making Nocturne Spidey. Kitty or Jeff or Silk can be Nightcrawler, but basically you need, you can also replace one with Spidey. If you got Nocturne, you could replace Kitty, Jeff, or Silk with Spidey. Red Hulk can be Magneto. You actually don't lose all that much that way. I might even try Eliath in this wonderful land of Hela everywhere. And you're going to need both Elsa and Hope. Hope is actually completely freaking incredible and busted in this deck. This is one of my favorite ways to play Hope. This is like the ultimate Hope abuse because you've got so many things that can move on and off her. Now, quick history lesson. Move was thought to be a terrible archetype. Silk was considered to be one of the worst Series 5 cards released in Marvel Snap. And then a player named Owlgod, a Korean player, started winning tournaments with a really strange hybrid move deck. Lambie took that deck and basically created what amounts to this deck. As soon as he saw those wins, it was like a month, 2 months before Elsa came out. So it's the same basic concept as this deck, minus Elsa and Hope. It still had Spidey and Red Hulk, and it was running either Magneto or Doom in that top spot. So it was the same concept as this deck, but it was called Silky Smooth or Silky Move. Lambie created the original version of this. You can credit Owlgod if you want, but the Owlgod version was so different. Either which way. So I don't know who made this version. Like 50 people made this version, right? This is just the most recent Silky Smooth with Nocturne over Spidey, but it is really good. I'm not pretending this is something original, so I'm going to credit the person who created the archetype originally. Y'all cool with that? Hopefully you are if you want to yell that Lambie didn't make it. I mean, I spend a lot of my time paying attention to Marvel Snap decks. I'm pretty confident in this. All right, so this deck puts out wild power. I was competing in power with like Hela Tribunal nonsense. There's just this deck can put up just 40 power in a lane sometimes if you get the combos right. It is a lot. Turn 1 Kitty, turn 2 Angela is your priority. You can get yourself a nice easy 12 power Angela here. Craven, Silk, and Jeff are all pretty nice, but in that order. You want to get your scalers out before the things that benefit your scalers. That's just the general rule of thumb here. Turn 3 Hope, and you will, yes, Hope on Angela is better than Elsa, is better than Nocturne. If you have Angela, Kitty, and Hope, you then drop Elsa and you go turn 4 Elsa and Kitty on Hope almost always. You can also just drop yourself a nice Captain Marvel, or you can drop yourself 2 2s. If you can do Silk and Jeff in a lane with Elsa out, that's really nice. If you can do Silk and Jeff in a Hope lane and get 2 extra energy, and that Silk automatically moves herself out of it. That's pretty damn good too. You can also drop Captain Marvel. Turn 5 is a bunch of stuff wide, or Vision, or Red Hulk. One of my favorite things to do here is to get myself a, I like to play Kitty to not get the bonus, in case I can't play her at the end of the game, but I'll give myself a nice 7 power Captain Marvel, thanks to Elsa, on turn 5, and then just let that worry about where my cards get played for me, and then the Kitty will bounce back and I'll still have room to play other cards in that lane. You can also just drop Vision or Red Hulk as you so choose. And then turn 6 is the same basic concept as prior, but you add Shang, because sometimes you're just like, ooh, that's a nice big juicy target, and you Shang the face off it. Feel free to replace Shang with Enchantress. Your mileage may vary based on the exact meta you're playing. This deck giggles uncontrollably at those Jean Grey decks. It has absolutely no problem beating them, although obviously be mildly wary. But I also, so later today, we will know the OTA is going to come out. And again, I remain relatively sure that the spoiled OTA is the real OTA. If it's not, we'll see later on, right? And you'll get a video from me tonight. But I'm reasonably sure that the spoiled OTA is going to just be the damn OTA. I feel like I would have heard otherwise by now, if not. Whatever. So I think the spoiled OTA will be the OTA, which means that we're going to see a leech everywhere. And I don't know how closely you're looking at this deck, but there's one on reveal card. So if we're going to see a lot of leech, then this deck just gets significantly better. You don't super care if it hits Shang. You're just in heaven. Hell, you can run leech yourself in this perfectly fine because you put so much power out. I think this deck is really good, really powerful. It's something we've seen before. I promise I got something new for you. But first, please hit that sub, like, and comment button. Watch as long as you can. Help us grow. We super appreciate your help and support. It means the world to us, and it helps more than you could possibly know. All right. So every 2 days after the new card comes out. So the new card comes out Tuesday every week, right? Wednesday, I give it a day so people have time to play it. And then Thursday, I figure out from some top players. I message top players that I know, that I'm friends with. Some I'm friends with, some I just know, to be honest. But that I know. And I'm just like, hey, give me a first impression. So this is Nocturne. We're going to talk about Blink later. But our Nocturne first impressions. Lammy says Nocturne is another Vision that can be easier to splash in certain decks. And Spyro says Nocturne seems almost like a 3-cost Jeff. Universal and can go in any decks. I think it's really interesting because both of these are top players, right? Lambie is the all-time GOAT of Snap. Spyro is an absolute phenomenal player. They're comparing it to a certain archetype. And if we look back at that last deck, you can see both Jeff and Vision. So it's sort of creating a combo of like good card stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Nocturne is worse than Jeff. Straight up. Cool? Can it just replace Vision? A lot of places Vision goes. Maybe, right? Like, I think that's what's going to be interesting in those decks that really can't afford Vision, that are trying to stay lower to the ground. The Noki decks that are around. Did we feature a Noki deck? Yes, we featured the Woody version of the Noki deck. It was originally a Hoogling creation, but we featured the Woody version of it last week. So the Loki decks that don't run Loki have me a little more interested in decks that stay lower to the ground, and Nocturne might be really, really good there, and you might not even need to run Vision. So that kind of thing is very, very, very interesting to me. So spoiler, I'm gonna build that and play that deck. Safety Blade says it's average, playable, but not required, which, I mean, like, you could almost say that same thing about Jeff and Vision, right? You wouldn't say average, you would say playable, but not required for most decks. Yeah, that seems like Nocturne. Sizer thinks Nocturne is fun, balanced, and exciting, and Miley thinks it's not a must-get. So I think the consensus is fundamentally, this is a good card, but not a card to go out of your way to get unless you have an abundance of resources. That's what I'm getting from this. It's a good card. This is a card that you will enjoy, that you will have fun with. Sorry. Safety Blade is an Australian player, Marvel Snap Zone writer, genius deck builder. Sizer finished in the top 7-ish last year, has been number 1 in previous season. Miley finished second in the Snap Grand Prix, and is a top 20 player. So that's just all these people's credentials, why we care what they say. These are high-level players ranking a card at the highest levels. So this is a good card. It's not a required card. I don't think this is going to ever be a card where, this is the kind of card like Red Guardian that you see in a lot of decks, and you're just like, yeah, I could replace that. You can replace that with something that's close enough to best in slot, because we're not 100% sure which of these exactly is slightly better than the other. Does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully. Let's keep going. 2 My favorite deck of the day. This is from Two Ties, a member of our Patreon, Discord, everything. Uh, Patreon has a deck he named Big Dumb Balls. This is a play on Gunny T, our friend Gunny T, where the T stands for Big Dumb Idiots. This is a play on that deck, where it basically says, well, I can just go bigger. Now that I have Red Hulk, I don't have to bother with Destroyer, right? I can go Hope and just go 6/6 and without too much trouble. And I also just have Cannonball, so I can just go to town, right? Like I could just go to town with Cannonball and win lanes and win games that I would have no business. If I've got a stupidly huge blob in one lane protected by an armor, a Cannonball in another is like an auto when it's auto cubes. Yeah. All right, let's go. So I'm going to advertise myself because Two Ties isn't a content creator. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgments. We have really great people there who come up with really cool shit like this. Hope can be magic for this deck without losing too much. Gladiator can be Polaris. Iron Man and Mockingbird can be Cannonball. Destroyer or Magneto can be Red Hulk or Blob. And you're going to need yourself some Scar. Cool. But Two Ties is really nice, and he made Cheap Dumb Idiots. So if you would like to, we're not going to cover this like as a real concept deck, but this is Cheap Dumb Idiots, which is like just the same deck with all the expensive cards pulled out. Again, I personally would prefer Iron Man to Abomination here, but everything else about this deck is the same fundamental concept, except it stops at Series 3 cards. I don't 1,000% know if this is worth playing without Scar. I will give you that caveat, because, well, let's go all the way back to this one. What you can end up doing with Scar is if you end up going, who cares on 3, right? Let's just say, turn 3 you Hope or Gladiator, right? Then you go Crossbones. If you Crossbones on Hope, or Crossbones on Gladiator, you're pretty good there. Then if you've got time for 6, if you played Hope, or you can play Ronin, right? So you can drop Blob or Red Hulk or Ronin, and then you've got a 2-cost Scar, which means you can play Scar and Maximus, further pumping up that Ronin. And then you can still have energy to play Armor, which is just stellar. Cool. There's also just various things that help you get extra 10 drops to make Scar cheaper. Okay, so this over 2 months in Infinite. Since Cannonball came out, Two Ties has been playing this and is in Infinite, winning 70 to 75% of games. I've seen multiple screenshots of different months worth of his gameplay with this exact deck. So it's wild. So turn 1, so play this freaking deck. This is now one of our decks that we know no one else has, and my viewers have, and you can dominate with it. If you have these cards, go play this deck. So turn 1 is, generally speaking, America Chavez alone. You don't want to play other cards in America Chavez's lane. You're just sort of using her as a decoy, a place that you have a little bit of power to confuse opponents. Also, people see America Chavez and go, but America Chavez has extra value, right? Because that extra couple power on a lot of these cards really, really does matter. Because remember, you're trying to get out Crossbones or Gladiator gets to 10 power, etc. Turn 2, Armor, and if you have Armor and Cosmo, you can fundamentally snap. Armor and Hope is damn close to a snap. You will play Maximus on turn 2 here without too much trouble. Most decks just straight up can't get as tall as you. Like, they just cannot get as big as they would like to against you. Turn 3, I would probably, still play America on 2 over Maximus. Turn 3, Hope over Gladiator, and that's more or less equal to Cosmo. You can hold Cosmo if it looks like they might be threatening something. Know your opponent's decks, know the meta. Watching these videos is a good start for that. But Hope is generally better than Gladiator because Hope and then a play on 4, you can always play Gladiator if you need to, will get you to a 6 on turn 5, which is one of your goals. So you'd play Crossbones on turn 4, you play one of the turn 3 plays is perfectly fine. Turn 5, if Hope, you play a 6, you will play any 6 but Scar at this point. Those being Blob or Red Hulk, those are your choices. Over Ronin, you will happily play Ronin as well. Those are generally better than Cannonball. If you have absolutely nothing else to do, you can drop Cannonball, but you'd really rather not. Turn 6, big card, or Cannonball. And then you win. Or the whole Scar thing I explained earlier. This deck is sick. It's so freaking good. Please, please, please play it. I might just like F around and hit Infinite with this season. All right, questions of the day. One, Sarah would like me to explain the post-Infinite ranking system. Okay, so you have an MMR, right? Like that's basically strongly correlated to your initial rank. Your MMR is like your hidden ELO rating. So if you win a game, you win or lose certain amounts of cubes. So far, so good. You win or lose certain amounts of cubes based on your ranking and that of your opponent. You'll win more for beating a high ranked opponent, less for beating a less ranked opponent. So far, so good. These add to a total number of cubes. So far, again, you'll have, say, 7,600 cubes. The top players will have 10,000 cubes, right? They'll get 10,000 by the end, or 10,000 snap points, I guess they're technically called. You'll have that number of points is then correlated to your rank, right? However many points you have, if that makes you the 3,000th best player, then great. If that makes you the 721st best player, that's great. It's just however many points you have. So that means you can win sometimes and still not gain rank, because let's say people around you are playing at the same time and you win a 2-cuber against a lower ranked player. Someone ranked near you, right? The person ranked, let's say right behind you, could win an 8-cube game against someone higher ranked and then jump you. And that's going to push your rank down even though you won. You should still gain snap points. You will still see your snap points go up, but your rank will not always. Havoc and Chaos asks if we'll get albums to tie into the MCU films. I mean, I don't know, but I hope so. I think that'd be really cool. I would like a Wolverine and Deadpool album. I think I read somewhere that was something they were looking to do, but I could be wrong. Ian Lowe asked if Hela is unhealthy. I maintain no. I think Hela is unhealthy because they made it so consistent. Hela existed for well over, like, basically the whole life of the game and was never meta until they gave it too many tools. I think that printing cards like Blink makes Hela very unhealthy, but they shouldn't print cards like Blink knowing Hela is in the game, is fundamentally my argument. I hope that makes sense. I don't think Hela is the problem. I think giving it these enablers is the problem. So, like, now Hela's a problem, and Hela's probably going to get nerfed and probably deserves to get nerfed. But Hela wasn't an issue. The new cards are. Kertixley. Hey, Kertixley. I love Kertixley. Wants to know my favorite Pokemon. It's Squirtle. I know that's a Gen 1 and kind of a lame answer, but it's a Squirtle. I love Squirtle. Turtles are my favorite animal. I love turtles. I don't know why. I think turtles are the coolest thing. I've never had a turtle or anything. My wife won't let me. But I love turtles. I think turtles are very, very cool. So Squirtle, a turtle squirrel, who's kind of a badass, is my favorite. The little shades in the cartoon. He was always my starter. I played Pokemon Yellow as a kid, it being like 16, but whatever. Yeah, Squirtle life. I played Pokemon, Red, Blue, and Yellow. But you get the idea. Very quickly, by the way, I'm going to be doing videos whenever, very likely, assuming I can get into the beta and it's actually announced in a way that I can find, into the Pokemon Pocket TCG. I think I want to do videos for that. Let me know if you'd be interested in checking those out. I hear it's different enough and I could learn the game and teach you the game as I learn the game. I think it'd be fun. Let me know if you would check that out, even if you wouldn't be like as into it as you are for Snap. If you'd like your questions read out in tomorrow's video, please leave some in the comments. Our next deck is boring. I mean, it's not boring. It's really, really powerful. But we have to feature this deck, right? I can't just not tell you about this kind of deck. This is Googly's discard Hela. There are 7,000 of these that are within 3 cards of each other, but Googly had a freaking 68% win rate with his, so we're just going to feature it. This deck is incredibly powerful. When you Corvus Hela, you probably run, but you don't super have to, especially because Blink is in the deck. So if you Corvus Hela but still have Blink, you can Blink and then basically get another big card. Sometimes you'll get Jubilee or Black Cat, but you're reasonably likely to still get a 6. And then because you have an extra energy, you can play another 6. And then you can't play another 6, really. But you can also end up playing a Shard or another card as such, and then still win the game. There's a lot of power here. This is very good. You can find Googly, an Italian player. He's in the meta with Comies and .geo, 2 of the best players in the world, at twitch.tv/Googly89. So, Corvus is needed for this deck. Black Knight can be Dracula for this without losing too much, and you can change Blink for Dracula, but you should probably have one of the two. If you want a version where Blink is the only high series card, check yesterday's video. I'm going to tell you straight up, I think Husky's version is more consistent than this. Husky Puppies has a version of the discard list that is more consistent, but that's not the list you're going to run into on ladder. This is, so you need to know about this list. Also, timeout before we go further. I'm going to get a bunch of comments going, how do I beat Hela? First, that last deck we talked about, really good into Hela. You should try it. Unless Hela does the nut, you put so much power all over the frickin' place that you can actually compete with Hela. Thing 2. There are several things like Darkhawk. We're going to talk about a Darkhawk deck that's pretty good into Hela in a couple seconds. And if you're still struggling with the Hela matchup, there's Loki decks. And here's exactly what you do if you want to beat Hela in like most like normal decks. You add Jean Grey and Cosmo. Got it? Just add Jean and Cosmo, and you've got a really, really solid Hela matchup. They don't play enough stuff to be able to get out of that Jean lane. And if Cosmo's there, they can't Hela, and then you win. All clear? All right. 74%. Oh, this is not a 70% win rate. I totally screwed up this deck's win rate. Please excuse me. We had to redo the thumbnail and everything. It's like a 68% win rate. So turn 1, Black Knight or Blade if it's the right target. And just for the record, the right targets are Infinite, Magneto, and Red Hulk. I'd probably not do Red Hulk on turn 1. Just let's say Infinite and Magneto for the time being. If not, you can just drop Black Knight. You are perfectly satisfied in this deck in particular with a Black Cat, Black Knight. You don't love that in most decks, but it's fine here. Turn 3 is Corvus or Sif. If you have a nice chunky hand, you'll Corvus even with Hela in hand. If you have if you have at least 3 6s, you'll Lady Sif, even without Death in hand, but Death is obviously your ideal Lady Sif target. Turn 4, Corvus or Sif is fine, and if not, you'll happily drop Jubilee. Turn 5 is a 6 if you can, because you played Corvus. That would ideally be usually Red Hulk, but it could be Magneto. You can also play Jubilee to set up a blink play. If you don't see Hela that way and haven't discarded Hela, you can basically guarantee Hela with that. You'll either draw Hela or you can Jubilee, or you can whatchamacallit into Hela, or you can I blink into Hela. My brain just died for a sec, sorry. Or you can still drop Corvus or Sif. You'd probably rather not this late, but if you need the discard, it's not the worst thing in the world. And then turn 6, you play Hela or Blink. And then you claim your cubes because your opponent should have retreated and didn't. One last look at this. It's a really simple deck. It's super powerful. You will have bad luck sometimes. You will not have the highest win rate, but your cube rate will be very high. And this deck is, once more, every freaking where. Oh, let's keep going. On to the top players' first impressions for Blink. All right, so Husky Puppies is the person who made my favorite Blink list in the game right now. Why is Blink still showing as a 5/6? Blink is a 5/7. Please excuse me. I used the old image still. All right, Husky Puppies says amazing in my Hela deck. One of, if not my favorite part of Hela right now. And turn 6 with Blink, you can often guarantee a Hela. All of those things are absurd and a problem, but hey, Blink is phenomenal. Batman99, another top 20 player, basically every season, says Blink is the next must-buy season pass card as more decks are discovered. Lambie didn't have a large Blink comment, but basically he thinks Blink and Jubilee are a package that you can put into a ton of decks. I think that's true, which is fundamentally the same idea Batman99 is getting at. Gnome says Blink is very good and then yelled the word value at me, so thanks, Gnome. $10 for a card this powerful is a very good deal. Sherry Enjoy says it's absolutely insane in Hela discard. Googly agrees, except he says absolutely nuts, and then says please nerf. And that's going to happen. Blink's going to end up a 6 power card. I don't think that's going to make Blink like way worse, because Blink is often like a 40 power play with Hela or some silly nonsense like that. So, but Blink is going to lose a power relatively soon. This card is phenomenal. Please, if you have the means, go buy the card. I'm giving away season passes. If you cannot afford Blink, make sure you go check out the streams and videos of the stream team from earlier this video. Just go rewind. If you check them out, we'll be giving away season passes on there too. All right, W had a really good thought and it was like a paragraph, so I wanted to save it because W is wordy. W is the most important deck builder in the history of Marvel Snap. Literally the second before I hit record tonight, W released a deck that we're definitely talking about tomorrow because it's W, and we always cover W decks. Again, you never know when W is just going to casually break a freaking meta. Ava also has a completely stupid, ridiculous deck that we're going to talk about. Whatever. That's tomorrow. Today, Blink is strong. Its move to 7 power went a long way. It has obvious homes and will age really well too. Nocturne is a strong card, does its job, even if 5 power is possibly starting to look like not enough for 3 costs. And let's pause there, because I think both of those points are super important. 7 power as more than 6 is important, because there are times where you're basically saying, I'm going to play a 7 on 5, but I'm going to use it to, because I played Jubilee to get better value, right? I'm going to turn my 4/1 with that extra value into another higher power card, and then I still have a last turn power play, right? But you miss sometimes, right? You're not always going to be able to go Jubilee into Blink. You're sometimes going to have to go like a cheaper card into Blink and not get nearly as much power, which means Blink's base power will have an effect on the game. As for the 3-5 thing, I think that 3-5 was the premium stat line for 5s for so long that when people evaluate 3s, they still see 5s and go, whoa, that's amazing. We saw it happen with Red Guardian. We saw it happen several times recently. I think we're past that. I think 5 is now the baseline for 3-cost cards, and that's just like seeing a 4-7, right? A 4-6 or a 4-7. You're just like, okay, that's the stats that card should be, and I think we need to move there. Really great insight there, but more. It looks like it's not as impactful as Blink, it being Nocturne in this case. That's to be expected when comparing a 3 to a 5-cost card, though, and that nuance is often lost on the Twitter people in these comparisons. Huge, excellent, important point. 5s are supposed to be, just because that's the way games are designed, more powerful and more impactful when you play them than 3s. Does that make the 5 a better card? No, because you have to be able to play things at various points in the game to win the game, right? Unless that 5's ability says win the game, the 3 that doesn't do as much can be better. The ultimate example of this is Jeff, and I think Nocturne being compared to Jeff so often speaks highly to this. Awesome thought from W, and again, that's not me telling you what to buy, what not to buy, although straight up I'm telling you to buy Blink at this point. Reminder that in Friday's video, tomorrow's video, yeah, that's how time works. Time has meaning, I promise. In tomorrow's video, we will have a weekend mission bunch of decks and my initial advice on whether to buy Nocturne. I'm telling you, get Blink. I haven't decided for Nocturne. I gather as much information as I can Friday, and then we do it again Monday for whether these cards are worth it or not. All right, our final deck of the day is the Gnome Bounce Hawk. Our friend Browday, we've followed his journey, is a phenomenal player, great person, Marvel Snap Bugle over on Twitter. Used to stream a ton, doesn't stream as much anymore. Has an amazing cat named Milky. Browday has been, he's won major tournaments, but he's been trying to be the #1 player. Early in the season, sure, but he hit #1. So props to our friend Browday. Because he hit #1, we're featuring this deck that we've covered before, honestly. This isn't the newest episode ever. This is us getting acclimated to a new meta with a new season, but we've got 3 pillars. I'm going to be sad if Darkhawk has 1 less cost next time we talk about this deck, but I don't know what to tell you about that. So you can find Browday at twitch.tv/Browday or twitter.com/MarvelSnapBugle. He's also at Browday on Twitter. You can also check Gnome Plays out. Gnome is the one who made this deck. He's a top 10-ish player himself. You can find him at Gnome. There's 2 underscores between Gnome and Plays. Gnome is the homie. Gnome is going to be a huge star who you probably want to watch before he gets to be a star. All right. Darkhawk and Kitty are needed. Nico can be Jeff, White Widow, Scarlet Witch, or Falcon. Hope can be Elsa, but that's like kind of it. Hope is just really good here. And Annihilus can be Deathstrike. That's it. And again, congrats to Browder for his #1. This deck is one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. Yesterday, I featured a Big Baby deck. That was one of my highest win rate. It was one of my 3 highest win rate decks of last season. One of the other 3 was basically this deck. It was this deck with White Widow in it instead of Nico, I think. So, just so you know, was it instead of Nico? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was instead of Nico. So, just so you know, this is a proven top of the meta, top of the ladder archetype that too few people are playing. If Darkhawk gets nerfed by 1, don't stop playing this deck. It's going to be great. All right, so turn 1, Hood, if another 1, and no Angela. That's better than Korg or Kitty. If you have Angela, I would generally drop Korg first because I want them to draw that damn rock and I want to cost them a draw. So I want to do that as soon as possible because it's an extra turn for them to draw rock. Turn 2 is Angela or 2 1s. Turn 3, Hope is really close to Rockslide for this deck. So if you already have Darkhawk, right, and you know you're going to play it and you already have Korg, getting that Rockslide out early can be really good. If you want to try and ramp into things, you see some combos, you've got a bunch of cheaper cards, maybe Hope is better, or if you want to try and get a Red Hulk out early because there's like a location that makes that good, you can get Hope out. Turn 4, Rockslide +1 is more or less equal to Sentry. Sometimes you can Sentry +1, but it's rare. Rockslide, again, just the disruption is stellar. It lets you play a 6 next turn. Sentry, be careful. You're only really playing Sentry in this deck if you have Annie. But But, if you've played some of your ones on the right lane, you can also beast that stuff back, and that'll often get you some free cubes. If you end up beasting that back on turn 5, then you don't have to worry about Annihilus. You can if you can often play like Darkhawk and Beast on I guess that's really hard, but it's doable to play Darkhawk and Beast on 5. You can also, if you can just Sentry and Beast on 5 sometimes, and then you just get all that power out and get rid of all your problems, and then you still have a bunch of 0-cost ones to play at the end of the game with your Darkhawk or Red Hulk. Turn 5, Annihilus, Darkhawk, or Beast and cheap stuff. Turn 6, Darkhawk, Annihilus, or Red Hulk, and you base that all on the board. One last look at this deck. Again, we featured 3 decks that are proven top of the meta decks, and 1 that will be soon today. We usually try and stay way ahead of the meta, but again, we have to set the meta first at the start of the season. We're going to do another video that sets the meta on Sunday. I have the top 5 decks on the Infinite Ladder from last season, and we're going to take a look at all 5 of them. Cool. All right, certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. Thank you to our Snap Judgments League Discord for suggesting this beautiful Agent Coulson card. Everyone's a Coulson fan. Patreon.com/snapjudgments. We offer great things, including on-air thanks for certain tiers of support. So thank you to Abigail Kieslin, Mandatory Burnout, the homie. Cables, we miss you. David G. Wingfield. Hi, David. Direwolf, LAB. Fothler Newman, always check him out on YouTube. Good Dog Gamer. Hey, good dog. This is the way, all the way from Scotland. Ink. Jane Everett. You gotta let me know how your climb is going. JD McDonaldinho. Hey, JD. Hit Infinite already did JD. Kara Tixley, who you saw questions for earlier. Koirei, all the way from Japan. Pyroforos, who won a season pass, as did the Goat Seeker. Den Man Falcon. Hello, Den Man. Check him out on YouTube. Doku. Philip Rakovich, great player, one of our mods. Haplo. Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Rob Silverman. The Bizza. X-Force V. And Skippy G. Tommy Nyquist, Snap Judgments League 1 season champion. Inga Bros. What's up, bro? Black Dahlia. The Great Kazoo. Jessica Gamble. Ryan Wood, huge Snap supporter. Kev Sihora, who's hitting Infinite this season. Watch. Luna Chris. My former student, Louis Antunes. Mod Supreme Models. Ramus Atala. Ryan Kaufman. Tristan H. Martin. Buzzy Dunlop. Spectre Mix. Little section is our new friends, so thank you, new friend. Matt H. DJ Mikey Hijinks. NoFlex. Ocularis. Craig Sterry. Pretty Damn Chill. Seamus. Spike Jones, Jonesy on YouTube. Two Ties. We saw Two Ties deck earlier. I think it's meta. You should play that deck. The Pirate King Tucker. Friday night's stream team member. The Homie Min, who will help you get to Infinite on our Discord. You should join. Gunny T, where the T stands for Two Ties, because today's video was all about that damn deck. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for another Snap Take. We got a W deck, we got an Ava deck, we got a bunch of weekend mission decks. We got so much for you. More content than anyone. Don't forget to check out the shorts. We've been doing some bundle guides. And we also did a hot location deck. Peace.